Good morning, class 7. How are you guys doing? I hope you all are doing great and well. So, we had done that river part, we had done till the Oxbow Lake and the Minders. We had done that. So, now I'm going to read through that place, okay, so that we don't miss out anything. And then we'll come back to that place which is called the work of sea waves, work of moving ice. That also I explained to you. And we were supposed to do the work of the winds, and then we'll finish the chapter. And after that, we'll go to the composition and structure of the atmosphere. Landforms is 4. I'll just go to the index again. Yes, 4, 5. We'll finish here. One, two, three, four. Yes, we have to go. We have to pull up our speed, and we have to see how much we can go ahead with it. Okay, we'll work on that. So don't worry. We'll try to speed up and finish as much as possible. The various landforms on the Earth's surface are formed by the various endogenic forces. However, the exogenic forces tend to reduce the elevation of the existing landforms. The exogenic forces carry out their work in two ways: weathering and erosion. Weathering I have done with you, erosion also I have done with you. Weathering involves disintegration and decomposition of rocks. A number of factors and agents such as heat, cold, frost, action, plants, animals, and chemical reactions help in weathering. This process does not involve the movement of broken rock materials. Weathering is generally followed by erosion. It is a process by which the broken rock material are removed from the place of its origin and deposited elsewhere. The main agents of erosion are running water, that is river, sea waves, moving ice, glacier, and the wind. The transported materials are deposited in different places. Thus, different landforms are created by the agents of erosion and deposition. Work of a river. I just want to tell you one thing is that I'll just now come back to you, and that's about now exogenic. If you are trying to understand, exogenic is something which is happening on top of the earth, surface of the earth, and endogenic is which is happening from inside. Okay, in terms of geology, endogenic factors are agents supplying energy for actions that are located within the earth, inside the earth. And exogenic are the factors or other agents supplying energy for actions that are located at or near the earth's surface. It's actually always happens by gravity and atmospheric forces. Okay, basic idea I gave you. Endogenic is happening from inside, exogenous is happening from outside with other forces. Okay, so that is what is happening here. Clear? When it rains, some water seeps underground, some of it evaporates. And the rest forms small streams. Many small streams join together to form a river when it rains. The place where the river originates is called the source. Henceforth, the river moves down the slope in a valley. Generally, the river falls into a large water body, that is the sea, such as the sea, ocean, or lake. The place where the river joins another water body is called the mouth. The area drained by the river and its tributaries is called the river basin. The running water in the river carries out its works in three ways. It erodes the rocks over which it flows, transport eroded materials, it deposits the materials which it has transported. Okay. The erosional work of the river results in the widening and deepening of the river valley. Such valley is called a V-shaped valley. It keeps on going in. It's taking away things. So it's going deeper. It becomes V type thing. Starts from here, water goes, it becomes like this V. Okay. There is more erosion and transportation of sediments and practically no deposition. Sediment is happening. Transportation is also happening. There is no deposition. There is no deposition. It's taking away and it's pulling in. Some of the water is going in, some of the minerals are going in, something sand is going in, but main things are going away. It's taking towards the basin and it's going to go and drop it there at the mouth. When the water of the river falls almost vertically down a steep valley side, a waterfall is formed. Steep water is directly falling down, hitting the rocks, becoming a hole there, again taking another structure from there. It's called a waterfall. They are important because they can be used to generate hydroelectricity. The steep sloping segment of the swift flowing water is called a rapid. Water coming from the river, don't we have these rapids? They go on these rapid tours, raftings, rapid water, without any direction. It's just falling, brum, brum, trum, trum. It's hitting everywhere and going. Then it falls into a waterfall. Swift flowing river. It's going, it's called rapid. Jog or Gersopa Falls on the Sharavati river in Karnataka is one of the highest, about 260 meters waterfalls in India. The highest waterfall in the world is Salto Angel Falls, 975 meters in Venezuela in South America. The Niagara Falls in North America and the Victoria Falls in the Africa are also famous. Fall means huge falls. You can't imagine. You don't have to go to South America. You go see the Victoria Falls, it's enough. Go to Shillong, go to Meghalaya, go to Karnataka. These waterfalls are enough. Go to Lonavala. Don't go too far. Mumbai, Maharashtra, Lonavala. There's waterfalls in Lonavala. Those waterfalls are also great. Go to Sikkim, you'll see waterfalls. Go to Darjeeling, you'll see waterfalls. If you want to know about waterfalls. And when the river leaves the mountains and enters the plains, the flow is no longer swift. It calms down because it's coming to a level. You'll see the picture of a meandering river. It goes in long curves. Wherever the slope is there, it takes huge curves. It stays there. Again, it overflows. Again, it takes another turn. The floor of the river valley widens due to the continuous erosion along its banks. The river twists and turns to form large bends or loops. These are called meanders. Deposition is happening, the water stops there, again the water will rise, again it will go on top of that, again it will start taking. So wherever it stops, it stores water, it takes long. Wherever the slope is, that side only the water will go and turn and make its own way. You cannot stop water. Small hole, water will go through. Excess water, it will break and go through. Now the river erodes, transports and deposits the sediments when it is going flatter. Due to continuous erosion and deposition, the meandering loops become more circular, almost circular, round, and come close to each other. In due course of time, the river is able to cut the strip of the land between the two loops and takes a straight course. It will get together and again it will split through, and then it will take a straight course. The circular loop that is left behind, completely cut off from the main channel, forms an oxbow lake. Understood? Now when they join together, one circle is made and huge circle is made. You play that game, that snake game on the mobile, that snake goes. By the time it takes another prize, it's going to touch its tail. So that is formed. When it forms it, it cuts off from there. It goes straight. And whatever is left over becomes the oxbow lake. That water is constantly coming, it's loaded and it's going away, that's all. During floods, the river generally overflows in its banks. The final alluvial soil brought by the river is deposited on the valley floor. This fertile part is called the flood plain. In the flood plain, the coarse materials are deposited along the banks of the river. Thus, long ridges of low height are formed along the banks. These are called natural levees. When the river reaches its mouth, it carries a large volume of water of alluvium soil, best soil. The excess load is deposited as sandbars in the wide river channel. Sandbars are made. This divides the main channel into several channels, which is called distributaries. It's bringing in sand, bringing in alluvial soil, coming to its mouth. It deposits there, and as it deposits, the water is getting blocked, it has to go out. So as it is trying to go out, it forms places. Whichever places it gets forms tributaries. In this stage, triangular shaped land is formed between the tributaries due to the deposition of sediments. This is called a delta. The Greek letter delta was first used by the Greek historian Herodotus for the triangular deposition land in the mouth of the Nile river. The delta formed by the Ganga and the Brahmaputra rivers is the largest in the world. That is West Bengal. See the material, see the delta, triangle. The main river is coming, it's depositing here, and then it takes tributaries and goes into the sea. Different rivers it forms. Okay. We'll keep it till here. I'll come back in the next video.